Do you have to switch your career? So I get this question a lot. How do you choose your career? What is up, everybody? This is Vishak here, and I'm the founder of Powerdynamics. And in this video, I'm going to give you a fair understanding as to how you can, choose your career. Okay. So in your 20s, right? At the end of the day, everything comes down to the age. And I don't want to sound too orthodoxical because I'm talking about the age and the career and all that. But unfortunately, that's true. And it is based on your age. And let me explain as to how it goes. Okay. So if you're in your 20s, the thing is, you don't have to stick with one. Please never stick with one. But at the same time, never keep trying a lot of stuff. And I did this mistake. I did both of this mistake. And I'll tell you what. When I was in a corporate, I was sticking with the same thing for a very long time. When I say very long time, it is for 10 years. I stuck with the same thing, something called as an operations. So you have the bank, you have the operations, and that's pretty much it. So I never really explored other areas, okay, when it comes to the corporate. Now, when I had the corporate career, that thing was going on. And the main predominant reason as to why that was going on is because that was my main source of income. But also, as a side, what I was doing is I was pursuing a passion, not necessarily for the income, not necessarily for the monetary aspect, but I was just, pursuing a passion. But this is where my heart is, right? So I was into DJ a little bit. I was into rap a little bit. I was rapping, but then I didn't take it too far. I was DJing a little bit. I didn't take it too far. And I did fitness for a while. I didn't take it too far. I did movies for quite a bit. I didn't take it too far. So the thing is, by even just me facing the failures of the initial couple of times, I just this is not going to work for me, right? I just decided. So I was jumping. Not necessarily I was jumping, but then also life threw me a lot of circumstances where I had to move on and do stuff, right? But I stuck with the corporate for a very long time. Now, this is the point. Now, this is where you need to be wise enough to try out something that really turns you on, okay? And keep at it for a while. As long as your financials are taken care of, then other things you can actually try it. Now, whatever your main source of income, if that job is actually turning you on, and you say this is what turning you on, I don't necessarily mean a negative way. I mean, not in a sexual way. You got the point, right? In your 20s, try out a few, but don't try out too much, and don't stick with the same thing for a very long time. Okay. Now you head to your 30s, 30 to 40. I'll give that range, okay? Because it's easier for you to absorb it. Now, in your 30s to 40s, if you are in a career and if you want to change, see, I'll tell you what, if you want to take advice from people, make sure that they are already living the life that you want. That's a number one rule. Now, in your 30s, the things you might want to slow things down. And I'll tell you why is that. When you hit your 30s, right, the first one is that you have responsibilities, right? You have your family. Sometimes you will have kids. Of course, after 30, 35, whatever, you will have your kids. But so you have the responsibility. Also, you have your parents. If you have to take care of your parents, then you got to take care of your parents. If they're self-sufficient, then you're good. But still, you've got to take care of your family. At the end of the day, you got to take care of your family, right? So you cannot make any irrational decisions saying that I want to pursue my dream, I want to follow my dream and stuff like that because there's something else that's coming in. I mean, there's something else that you need to look up to. That's the first thing. The second thing is that your age, 30 to 35 or 30 to 40, what's happening in that age? So if you want to do anything, you cannot quit what you're doing and then move on to something else entirely different. That's not a wise idea to do it, right? Because you got responsibilities to take care of. The second thing is, when you're moving on to something, when you're learning something, when you move on to something, right? I'll tell you what happened. Just to even understand and learn the thing that you're going to do will take some considerable amount of time. I'm talking about if you want to be the best at what you do. Okay? Like Malcolm Gladwell quoted that for you to master any one skill, it takes approximately 10,000 hours. So I'd like to push it a little more further. Okay? If you could put approximately 12,000 hours of not just learning, but learning, execution, failure. Learning, execution, failure. This is what the circle that you should be into. When you form this pattern, right, then you can actually master it. But now the problem is that you have your family, you already have something going on, and now you want to pursue something else. right? Also, you got to take care of your health. So you got your health that needs to be taken care of at least 8 to 10 hours a day, probably even more in your job. And the remaining time, if you're commuting, then that is also that needs to be taken care of. And also you got your family, and also you need to take care of your sleep. There's a lot of stuff going on. So every minute that is there in your hand, it needs to be valued, and it's got to be, like, you should not scatter your minutes. You should not like let go of your time just like that. You cannot fuck around with it. You get the point. Every minute that you spend should be focused towards your family, towards your second career, towards your primary career, and your sleep and your health and workout and whatnot. So listen, whatever the thing that I'm telling you, right? I mean, I'm telling you out of my own experience and the mistakes that I have done, and I want you to make it. I would want you to go for something else, because first thing is, like, it is stupid to just rely on one income or one source, and that is all you have. Because in the ever-changing world, such a rapid and ever-changing world that we live right now, it's not a wise idea to just depend on one thing, and it really sucks to be at somebody else's mercy. You get the point, right? So that's what you got to do in your 30s to 40s. But again, make sure that whatever you're choosing, make sure that it is worth it, because the journey is not going to be simple. But when you get through the other side of it, trust me, it'll be worth it. Like every bit of sacrifices, every bit of struggle that you went through, it's going to be worth it. All right, that's 30 to 40. So after 40, what are you going to do? Or at 40 to 50, what are you going to do, right? Okay, now here is where the health part is coming into play. All right, you need to pay more attention to your health. So you've got your current job going on, and as you grow in your career, the thing is, the stress level will always go up. And at that point, you would not be able to be in a position to look for something else. The second one, I want to have an additional, if you have your portfolios going on, if you have your affiliate incomes going on, or if you have anything else, if you're predominantly doing it for the monetary benefits, then if you have your rental incomes going on, all of these things are going on, or any of these things are going on, then it's okay. Then it's absolutely fine. You just don't have to worry about anything. All you got to do is just focus on your job and just move on. But if you're really looking for, the monetary, extra monetary benefits, right? Or what happens after you retire, right? I'm sure most of them will not think through to that level, but I think it will be wise to think what happens after that. And it's not a good idea to just rely on the kids or whatever, right? I mean, I know I'm pushing this video too far, but you get the point, right? So from 40 to 50, or even after 40, you think about it, because all I want you to just remember is that, the 10,000 hours rule or 12,000 hours rule, you need to have that in your mind. And if you think that you can commit to that amount of time, so if you're putting in like 3 to 4 hours every day, then you can do it in short span. If you've got 1 hour every day, then it's going to take a really long time. All right. So the longevity, the time available, your job, the stress levels, the health, sleep, family, commute, you got to just pretty much take care of all of these things. If you are able to consider the fact of all of this, and if you're still able to commit, then go ahead. Okay. What happens after 50? Well, you know it. But these things are not a 2 + 2 = 4 formula that I'm giving you. Okay? It's not. Well, it's not. Why? Because of course there are exceptional cases like Colonel Sanders of the KFC, or Ray Kroc of the McDonald's. I mean, he didn't found it, but he was a founding member. He took over from the brothers, right? So it's not really possible in the later ages, but still, if you have a flair for it, if you have an eye for it, then you should just pursue it. Okay? But always, regardless of whatever you're doing, right, I want you to just think about one thing. I mean, I want you to think about two things. Okay? The first one is that whatever you're planning to do, I want you to, before you getting into it, I want you to analyze, assess the downside of it. In case if this thing is going to work, if in case if the plane doesn't fly, what happens? What is the worst case? So I want you to just put down all the worst case scenarios that could potentially happen. And I want you to consider from every single aspect of, the things that can come and hunt you. All right. So every single negative side of it, in case if this thing goes failure, what are the possible side effects that could happen? That's the first one. The second one is that whatever you're doing, right, just see 10 years from now, is this going to be valued? Okay. For example, most of the work, if it doesn't really require your mental energy, I'm talking about your creativity, authenticity, you as a person, your mind, like you, if you don't really involve, or if your mental energy is not really required to do a particular job, chances are 80 to 90% it will be extinct. It's just gonna go. It's the work is gonna be obsolete. The work is not gonna be obsolete, but you're gonna be obsolete if you're gonna be doing that, because robotics are gonna take over. Absolutely, right? Because forget about the physical. Physical is not even in the question, because whatever the things that whatever the things that a man can do physically, then you get the point. I mean, it's pretty much will be taken over by the machines. And after all this crypto and the NFTs and DeFi and all of these things are coming in, right? So technology is one space where the thing will always be there, because humans always want things faster, easier, painless, pleasurable. So this will never fade away. That's the first thing that's one thing that you can consider. The second thing is like health is one space that you can always consider, because health is a serious issue, like mental health, physical health, doesn't really matter, all fit together. Food is something that you can consider. I mean, this is not a career advice. It's not something that I'm giving you like you gotta pursue it. But these are something that will always be there for a long time. And if you want to consider business, also think in these terms, so that the chances are highly likely for you to at least get somewhere. All right. If you find this video useful, give me a subscribe, like, comment, or whatever you see down there. And that's it. Thank you so much, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.